Hello and welcome to this short video where we will explain what is COIL. My name is Marina Vives. I work at the International Center at the Rovira Virgili University in Tarragona. And what we will see today is what is COIL, how does it work, what do I need to implement COIL in my classroom, and how does it relate to internationalization. First of all, COIL is just another example of a vast variety of online learning modalities. But depending on the length, on the interaction, on the assessment level of these learning modalities, the impact to students may change a lot. So what's in a word? COIL is collaborative online international learning. Collaborative because we need to collaborate, we need to work together. Students need to work together to implement the task at hand, but also, and most importantly, teachers need to collaborate before to design what the students will do afterwards. Online, because yes, internet and technology is central. We do need to use internet, but it's not the most important thing about COIL. You will see afterwards. International, because we bring the world to our classroom, offering an international experience to non-mobile students. And learning, that's the last word, but maybe the most important concept. We learn from others, we learn about our subject, but most importantly, we learn about ourselves. So how does COIL work? We have a course A and course B taught by different teachers. So we have two teachers that decide to collaborate to implement this collaborative task. In a second level, students interact to also work together and develop the task at hand. Once the cooperation finishes, each professor or each lecturer from each university will assess their students in their own course. So that's why we say that COIL is embedded into the curriculum. What do I need to implement COIL as a teacher? So there are three very important phases: preparation, collaboration, and reflection. Preparation is where you meet another teacher from another institution and you define the learning outcomes that you want your students to learn. You discuss the content, how will they be assessed, you determine the length of interaction and the platforms that you will use. You also might want to check if you can implement collaborative activities that have a comparative base, and you just decide which kind of activity you're going to do. Of course, you also select the language, the methodology, and the technology. During the collaboration phase, that's where the students work together. First of all, we put them in mixed international teams. They get to know each other through an icebreaker activity, and they discuss, meet, and interact to develop the task. They implement and develop the common assignment, and during this phase, teachers might want to intervene to monitor how it's working, not only in a synchronous meeting with all the students, that is the third room, the third class where all the international students gather, but more specifically in their own classroom, in their own university. When the collaboration finishes, we have the reflection phase. This is very important. In this phase, we will check how the interaction has been and learn and listen through the student's opinion. This phase includes a conscious intercultural reflection that might be led by the teacher and include also the closing session. In this phase, as I mentioned before, the teachers will also evaluate their own students within their own university. So what are the most important ingredients to succeed? We have a very interesting meal in our tables, but what do we really need? So it's very easy, or it's easier if you're ready to implement synchronous or asynchronous session. That means if you have a same time zone or it's easy to connect, you can plan for synchronous meetings, but be open to asynchronous interaction as well. The ideal size of student working groups, as in normal teamwork, is 4 to 6 people. So that means 2 or 3 people per institution. We said that before, we're going to insist on that. Intercultural reflection is key. So be ready to send some surveys before we start, or to prepare some follow-up during the interaction, and most importantly, have surveys and questionnaires ready at the end to really improve from your experience. Trust and communication are key. So you need to trust your partner as teacher. You need to have a very good communication with your colleague professor, because if you can create some enthusiasm, you're going to transmit that to your students and the interaction will be much better. It's also important to know that all fields are welcome. That means no matter if you're a lecturer in maths or in language, you can actually work together with an international partner. An important tip that's not compulsory, but it does help if all the class is engaged with the COIL. That means you can make it voluntary for some students, but if you manage to engage all your course, it's going to be easier for you as teacher to manage it. Another thing is that you can get to work with other disciplines. So let's say, for example, you work in business, and it might be good for you to work in a COIL with design students. And so you can implement a marketing COIL project. Working with other disciplines is also a window to reality, because when our students will work in the professional world, they will need to manage different disciplines. The activities should last no less than 4 weeks and no more than 12 weeks. Of course, you can make it a little bit longer if you want, but if you make it shorter, some phases will be skipped, and that's a pity. So allow yourself to have an icebreaker, allow yourself to have a couple of weeks for collaborative work, and then another week for reflection. That's why we say at least 4 weeks. And another tip, you can choose to make it different, but we suggest that student groups are determined by the teachers so that there is no any bias when choosing who to work with. One important thing, I said that before, technology is important. Of course we need to use the internet. Of course we need to connect to be able to interact. But pay attention, technology is only the means to teamwork. So we know of very successful code projects that have developed the interaction using mobile phones, for example. So be open, be creative, first think of what you want to learn together, and then think about the technology that you're going to use. If you're not convinced by that by now, let me tell you that COIL makes relevant impact to our students, because it really helps develop the so-named 21st century skills. It provides creative thinking because they need to solve things together. We prepare them for complex problem-solving situations. They work in international teams. They have to develop somehow leadership skills, because they need to, guide the meetings, follow the instructions, meet the deadlines, etc. And it does provide training in interdisciplinary work. So COIL is a very useful tool to train all these skills. Now, how does COIL relate with internationalization and internationalization of the curriculum or at home? When we think about internationalization, we tend to think of mobility, exchange students, exchange staff. But there is a big wall that we can develop at home. That's what we call internationalization at home. This concept embraces everything that does not relate with mobility. That means internationalization of the curriculum, management of the international classroom, English language teaching, encouraging language skills, intercultural understanding and training, international recruitment of staff and students, development of services for international students and staff, integration activities for international services. Those are just some examples, but COIL really works in the first one, in the internationalization of the curriculum, because it does help opening and broadening our curriculum. So if you're asked from now on, what is COIL? Well, there is not a single answer. COIL is a teaching and learning paradigm. It is based on experiential, international, collaborative learning. It is network-based learning approach. It aims to develop intercultural competence. It aims to develop the skills that our graduates will need when they go to work. It is co-developed and co-taught. It is embedded into the curriculum at the course level. It is technology-based, but it's not a technology itself. And of course, it is a tool for internationalization at home. That is all from my side. I hope you connect with us if you like. Our email is just here. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.